All right, so today I want to talk to you about the most valuable skill that I ever learned. It is still to this day, I think, the most valuable skill that anybody can learn. And here it is. The ability to effectively articulate your value to someone else. And what it really comes down to in our world is those who do a better job of explaining why they should be worth more are the ones who are paid more. The ones who do a better job of showing others and if communicating their friendship to others are the ones who have the best relationships. The people who can best articulate why you ought to believe a particular philosophy or political ideology are the ones who tend to amass the largest groups of followers. And I don't care where you're at, whether you're trying to get a raise, you think the boss doesn't see your real value, whether you're running a business and you're trying to sell your product and you can't understand why, even though your product is so much better, the guy down the street is outselling you 10 to 1 and you haven't figured that out yet. I'm guessing, in fact, I guarantee you the reason that you haven't been able to do it is because you haven't figured out how to effectively articulate that value. And I first learned this, I went through a course called Influential Communication. By a guy named Dan Kennedy. And Dan, in that seminar, the Influential Writers Workshop, I think is what it was called, and put on by Dan Kennedy. And Dan actually took people through and talked to people about how you use the written word through newsletters, through sales letters, all this stuff to do a better job of influencing people. It was my first exposure to that. It was my first exposure to any sort of this idea of copywriting at all. And I'm so glad that I took that program because what I took away from that, the knowledge that I learned from that program, I used to generate about $20 million in sales in the last 10 years, give or take. And so it is the most valuable skill I ever learned. It continues to be the most valuable skill that I have at my disposal. It's more valuable than what I actually teach. It's more valuable than the courses I have or the clients that I serve, because it's what brings people to me. You see, you can have the greatest restaurant in the world, you can have the greatest knowledge in the world, the greatest product in the world, but if other people don't believe that you can actually help them, they're not going to come to you. You're never going to get the opportunity to serve those people because you didn't do a good enough job of convincing them that you are the best person for them. And here's the crazy thing, and this is what really irritates me about people who choose to thumb their nose at this idea or choose to poo-poo it as some sort of form of manipulation. If you really believe that you have a great product or service, if you truly believe that your customers are better with you than they are going to the competition, either because you have a superior product or you care more or you're willing to devote more time or you have greater knowledge, whatever the reason is, if you do not do everything that you can, if you don't learn every trick and tactic and technique is available to you to convince those people to come and do business with you, then you are stealing from them. You're stealing from them because you are sending them to someone else to get help for the problem that they're having when they should be with you. You're stealing from yourself because you haven't done everything in your power to convince them to come and do business with you because you're the best choice. Now, I admit that it's uncomfortable. I know that it is. You think that I like sitting in front of this camera and being on stage and talking to people and trying to convince them that I'm the best at what I do and that people should come and listen to me. Trust me, it's as awkward for me to engage in that kind of, self-promotion, shameless self-promotion, as anybody else. And it's so much so I've actually developed a defense mechanism. So if you listen to me kind of when I talk about myself and I talk myself up, I kind of have it do it in almost a joking, off-the-cuff kind of manner. It's almost a form of self-degradation. Not self-degradation. You know, it's almost as though I'm kind of making fun of how I'm promoting myself. And that's 100% a defense mechanism because I really don't like talking about myself and talking myself up. But I know I got to do it. Because if I'm not talking about myself, who else is going to be? Sure, now I've got people who give me testimonials, and we got tons of those, and we got success cases and all of that stuff, but I didn't in the beginning. And if you're not at a place yet in your business or your life where you have that sort of years and years of track record that you can show to people, if you're not talking about you, nobody else is either. If you're not promoting yourself, if you're not communicating your value to the world, no one else will be either. And it's going to be worse for your customers, your clients, it's going to be worse for you. And the world is going to be less than it should be because you didn't have the confidence to go and show people who you really are and demand that you be given the authority and the recognition for what you do. And so if you struggle with this, if this is something that you find difficult, then I have a lot of different things that you can get involved with, but the most important one is a one that I do every year. It's called the Copy Clinic. And this year it's being held on November 18th and 19th, 2021. And at that event, we are going to spend 2 days working on you, your message, your business, so that you can create an offer that truly does motivate people to come and want to do business with you, that does effectively communicate your value or the value of your product to the world. And the great thing about this is it doesn't require you to be a great speaker. It doesn't require you to be a great writer. It doesn't require you to be creative. All it requires is that you understand the principles of influence and communication and you follow the script. And I've got about 5 different frameworks that I'm going to show you that you can use to write different types of copy, whether you're writing a 15-page sales letter to try and sell some product, or if you're just trying to get people to click on a link and read an article from Facebook or Twitter. I'm going to show you how to do all of it, and I'm going to show you how to apply these principles in real time. And we're going to do it with your project. If you already have an offer, great, we can make it a better one. If you don't have a product put together yet and you're trying to come up with a really creative way to sell the knowledge or the information that you have locked in your head, we can work on that too. It's 2 days of you and I working together to create the most convincing and articulate copy imaginable, or at least that we can come up with in 2 days. And so I want to invite you to come and join me for that. We've done it every year now for 3 years. The results have been incredible. We have so many people coming back this year that I actually had to open up a second set of dates. So the 18th and 19th is when we're doing it for all of you guys watching this video. And I'm doing it because, as I said before, it is the most important thing I ever learned how to do. Okay? It's not the sexiest thing by far and away. It's not the coolest thing. The coolest thing is learning how all this camera gear works and how to do all this so that I can create these really cool looking videos for you that look all super professional. Designing sets like they're behind me. You know, that's the cool stuff. But that's not what makes the money. That's not where the money is. The money is in being able to speak and articulate the value to others. And so wherever you are in your journey, if you're finding that you're struggling with your business, with your product or service, and you don't know why people just aren't grabbing a hold of it, I guarantee you the messaging is wrong. It's because you haven't figured out how to communicate the value to others. And once you figure that out, it's going to solve all of the other problems. Because once you start figuring out, and once you figure out and dial in that message of what really moves the needle for people and what really allows them to know, like, and trust you, everything else becomes easier. Now you don't really have to sell anymore. You don't have to try and convince people of your stuff. All you gotta do is just say, hey, I got this thing, it's gonna be awesome for you. And people will be like, hey, if he said it, it's good enough for me. If you don't have customers and clients telling you that, if they're not coming to you being like, hey, you tell me, I don't care, whatever you say, I'll buy whatever you want me to buy, like you're the man, tell me what to do. If you don't have clients who are doing that, you are not effectively communicating your value. You have not built an authority brand that can command that type of fascination and that type of control. And the truth is, we're all looking for somebody like that. We are all looking for somebody that we trust implicitly and can just say, dude, you just tell me. Jason, if you're telling me this is the most important skill I could ever learn, then teach it to me. That's all I gotta know. You saying it is good enough for me. I'm lucky enough to have a lot of people like that in my business and in my life. But if you're watching this video, you're probably not there yet. And so what I'd like to do is leave you a link underneath this video, send you over to a sales letter that you guys can read, that will show you a little bit about the clinic, will show you about the stuff that you need to be doing if you want to really make yourself stand out in 2021, 2022. And then once you've read that, sign up. Join me for the event, for the workshop, and let's see if we can't create an incredible offer and make you the best proponent, the best advocate for your product or service that's alive today. So go ahead and do that. Thanks for listening. I'll talk to you soon.